Hey guys, hello and welcome to the channel. So today we are going to solve the questions of az-104. Okay, so we'll start with the questions. We'll solve the number of questions. So remember, like this questions, basically I'm going to solve within a few parts. So the entire questions will not get covered into single part. So make sure to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon as well, so you never miss that when I upload a new video. Okay, so let's start with the question. So here we deal with the first question, that is you have an Azure resource group named RG1. Okay, so RG1 contains a Linux virtual machine named VM1. You need to automate the deployment of 20 additional Linux VMs. The new VM should be based upon VM's one configuration. So as you are deploying the new 20 additional VMs, so the question is saying it should be based on the configuration of VM1. Okay, so all right, so from the virtual machines, export template settings blade. So if you have used that, so there is a blade in the virtual machine. So when we create at the portal, right, so virtual machines export template setting blade, you click deploy and edit the parameters. Does this solution meet the goal? So what is the answer? So yes, this solution meets the goal. So basically every deployment is actually described in template, right? So that is in JSON format, if you know that. Okay, so remember this. So the solution virtual machine export template setting blade is the correct option in this case. Going to the next question now. Okay, so you have an Azure resource group named RG1. So this is the same question only. So just they are changing the solution over here, and we need to guess what is the answer for that. So you store the Linux VM properties in a template and deploy the additional VMs by editing the template parameter values for each additional VM. Does this solution meet the goal? So upper case study is the same, as we can see, like we have RG1 and it contains Linux VM, that is VM1, and we are deploying additional 20 VM and it should contain the configuration of VM1. So solution is saying you store the Linux VM properties which we are creating this one, okay, in a template and deploy additional VM by editing template parameter values for each additional VM. So yes, that is perfectly fine. So you can do that. So answer over here is yes. Okay, so as we can see, like in an Azure portal, like if you see the template blade, so that can enable you to store the JSON documents that automate the Azure resource deployment. Okay, so let's see the next solution. We need to just answer whether it is correct or wrong. So okay, so same question it is. So you need to automate the deployment of 20 additional Linux VM, and then new VM should be based upon VM configuration. So from the resource group, there is a policies blade. You click assign policy. So from the resource groups policies blades, you click assign policy. So as we cannot do basically that, so maybe because if we see the automate deployment and we are talking about the 20 VMs over here, so we should access VM underlying JSON only, so JSON template, and deploy new resource by using the custom deployment parameters. So this is not the correct answer, so we will mark this as no. Okay, then moving to the next question. So this is again a kind of a case study. So let's see what is the question given. So mostly you will be dealing with the case study one only, and the solution you just need to identify whether this solution can meet the goal or not. Okay, all right, then you want to install an internet facing web application named web app 1 on multiple Azure VMs. The VMs must run Windows Server 19. Connections to web app 1 must be spread across all the VMs. The VMs must be located in separate data center in the same region. So it is like you will be having that in a separate data center, but the region will be same over here. So the SLA percentage of connectivity must be the highest possible. Okay, got it. So we want the SLA connectivity that should be highest possible. So solution: create 3 VMs each in different availability zone and create and configure a standard stock keeping unit load balancer. Okay, so as question says, like we have the VMs, like the web app on multiple VMs, and connections to web app 1 must be spread across all the VMs. So all right, and basically in one of the VM must be located in separate data center in the same region. So solution is saying create 3 VMs in each different availability zone. So first of all, it is saying highest possible SLA or percentage of connectivity must be highest possible. So this sounds perfect, as we should create 3 VMs in different availability zone and create and configure a standard stock keeping unit load balancer. Okay, so load balancer will be like your zone reductant, right? So because the your we say IP address about, like, so load balancer distributes inbound flows to all the VMs. Okay, so this is the perfect answer. So we'll see the next question now. All right, so you want to install internet facing web application named web app 1 multiple VMs on multiple VMs. The VM must run Windows Server 19. Connections to web app 1 must be spread across all the VMs. The VMs must be located in, say, a separate data center. So again, this is the same one only. Okay, so let's see the solution, what they are saying. Create an availability set with 3 VMs. So now it is an availability set with 3 VMs, 3 fault domains and 3 update domains. So when we talk about the availability set, then at that time we also deal with the fault domains, update domains, right? So 3 fault domains and 3 update domains, and create a basic load balancer. So if we see this, like, and about a fault domain and 3 update domain. So what is the keyword targeted over here is the fault domain and update domain. Okay, so when we deploy more than 2 VMs actually in same availability set, so we must have a guarantee of SLA at like something about 99.5 or 99.95, like. Okay, so this is lower than the minimum, maximum I can say is 99.99%. Okay, and the solution is saying the SLA should be the highest, so I would say answer as no over here. So let's see the answer for this. So yes, this is no, as yeah, so 2 or more VM when we deploy that in same availability set, so we can get a guarantee of 99.95. This is a lower than the maximum of 99.9%. all right, okay, now to the next question. You want to install an internet face web application, so that is the same case study only. Let's see what are the solutions. So solution given is create 3 VMs in a single VNet. Now this is a VNet. Okay, 3 VM under a VNet they are saying. See how they are twisting. Okay, with each VM in a different availability zone and use Azure front door. Okay, so see, first of all, what is Azure front door? So it can perform your load balancing at a global level, right? So in this scenario, if I talk about load balance traffic with a single virtual network, so a VNet in a, like, basically your single region, this is talking about a single region, so we need to use a load balancer, right? Or an application gateway to spread the connection across all the VMs. So this is again the wrong answer, so I would say this solution doesn't meet the goal. Okay, now to the next question. Okay, create 3 VMs, set the availability zone to 1 and create a zone redundant load balancer. So will this solution meet the goal? And the case study is the same, so answer is here no, because if we see, like, availability zone, so basically when we deploy the VM to different data centers inside a region, so VM must be deployed to different availability zone, majorly more than 2. So we can measure, like, mainly say as a 1 VM, 1 VM, 2 VM, 3, right? So this is also required for the highest possible of high time. Okay, highest possible percentage. So this will not be the correct answer, as this is saying set the availability zone to 1 and create a zone redundant. So this is again a no over here. Okay, all right, we'll move to the next question then. And don't worry about the description also. I will provide you description also wherever it is necessary. So let's see the case study of this one. Your company has an Azure subscription. This includes a virtual network named VNet1 with the subnet shown in the exhibit. Okay, so let me read this. This is the exhibit of subnet 1. So prefix, you can see that the IP address over here is 10.00.24, 10.0.10.24. Okay, all are a different address, or subnet 1, 2, 3. Deployed resources, if we see VM, so in the first subnet we have 4, and in the second subnet we have a VM5, VM6, that is 2. And container group, in the subnet 3 we have the container group, that is my container 1. Okay, all right, then remember that. So what question says? This includes a VNet named VNet1 with the subnet shown in the exhibit. All right. The company is deploying a new Azure container group on VNet1. What is company doing? It is deploying a new Azure container group on VNet1. Okay. The container instances need to communicate with VM5 and VM6, that is in subnet 2, right? So you need to determine an appropriate location for deploying the container group. So we need to determine an appropriate location, okay, for deploying the container group. So which solution we will create? So the solution mentioned here is you create the container group on subnet 2. So I believe this is totally wrong, as because we cannot deploy a container group on a subnet, okay, because that already contain resources like such as a VM. We have already seen that in the exhibit part. Okay, so we can deploy a container group on a subnet that already hosts a container group, right? So subnet that does not host any resources, or you can recreate a new subnet when you create the container group. Okay, so this is the no over here. Let's see the second solution. What does that say? So second solution says you create the container group on subnet 3. So you can create the container group on subnet 3. Let's see the exhibit part first of all. So it is about the subnet 3. So as I have already said you in the first question of the case study, that you cannot create that if that already have the VM. So as in subnet 3 we can see we have the container container 1 like this. So in this case, if you can create the container group on subnet 3, then this solution will meet your goal. Okay, so you can mark this as yes, and let's see then answer. So yeah, this is yes as well. So you can read this. Okay, and let's see the question 3 then. So you create a new subnet to host the container group when you create the container group. Okay, so you create a new subnet to host. So already in the exhibit we have the 3 subnet over there, and it is about to host the container group. So to host the container group, when you create the container group, so you can do that. The condition only is there should be no available VMs in that, and it should already have the container group in that. Okay, so you can create the new subnet to host container group when you create the container group. So this will also meet your goal. So let's see the answer. So yeah, this is the perfect answer, and the solution meet the goal. You can deploy a container group on a subnet that already hosts a container group, as I said. A subnet that does not host any resources, or you can recreate a new subnet when you create the container group. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. So now to the next question. Let's see the case study. You deploy an Azure web app named My App. My App runs in a free pricing tier service plan named My Plan. So this is in a free pricing tier. Okay. You discover that My App stops after 60 minutes and it cannot be restarted until the next day. Okay. So it cannot be restarted until next day, and it has been stopped after the 60 minutes. After 1 hour. Okay, so you need to ensure that My App can run 8 hours each day during the testing period. You want to keep the additional cost incurred to a minimum. So what is the solution? You change the pricing tier for My Plan to shared D1. So basically you cannot do that. So the reason is that the because this solution has been created in a free pricing tier, right? So free pricing tier supports actually no more than 60 minutes of CPU, right? So we should know that. So you should basically aware of the timings and how much what provides free pricing tier provides. Okay, so basically we cannot change the pricing tier from my plan like this, whatever plan it is given to shared D1. Okay, this will allow only 240 minutes of CPU time per day. Okay, so 8 hours will again not satisfy this solution, so I will mark this as no. Okay, all right, then we'll move to the next question. So solution is you change the pricing tier for my plan to basic B1. So yes, so you can do that by changing into the basic B1. So basic B1, this is the least expensive plan first of all. So I will mark this as yes, and let's see the explanation for this. So why basic B1? So basic B1 is the least expensive plan that support 24 hour of CPU time. You changed the pricing tier for my plan to standard S1. So we checked with the D1. Okay, so D1 will not fit that solution, and the basic, so yes, that will fit the solution. And what about the standard S1? So again, standard S1 will not fit this solution, so we can only change that to basic one. Okay, so as we want the least expensive part, so let's see, I am marking this as no, and let's see the correct solution. So yeah, this is no. And the explanation is the problem is that free pricing tier supports no more than 60 minutes of CPU time per day. You should not change the pricing tier for my plan to standard S1. This meets the runtime requirement, but it is not the least expensive solution. So mark the keyword like that. Okay. So we can move to the next question now. So what next question says? Okay, so this is the big descriptive one. So your company has an Azure Active Directory, Azure AD tenant named company1.com. You want to create multiple users. You decide to use the bulk create feature in the portal. You have the CSV file as shown in the exhibit. So where is the exhibit? Okay, let's see. All right, so this is the exhibit of that. And user1 at the rate company1.com, and okay, so this is the JSON format. All right, so the creation of two user account fails and the following error is displayed. The username in the uploaded file is not valid. Change the username in the uploaded file to be valid user name in your Azure AD. Ensure the domain portion of the username is verified in your Azure AD or in the initial domain like on microsoft.com. Then resubmit your request. You need to create the two user account that failed to import as guest users. So what we will do in this case, so as we had seen that exhibit, so let's read the option first. So you use the new Azure AD user PowerShell cmdlet and set the parameter user type to guest. Okay, next question. Next option. So create a new CSV file for the two users and use the import CSV and a new Azure AD MS invitation PowerShell cmdlets to create the users. In the CSV file, specify the name of the user, email address, and initial password. So this sounds as perfect as because you have the user also, you have the email addresses and initial password, as this is containing the data in the JSON format and all the fields are covered. And we can import that CSV also, okay, for the two users. So let's see the other option as well. Use the portal to create two users 10 at the rate company1.onmicrosoft.com and 11. Well, so this is not the correct one. So we should not use the portal for this to create the two users. Okay, so the users can use their own external identity provider. So this is not required on microsoft.com over here. Create a new CSV file for the two users and the import CSV and a new Azure ADMS invitation PowerShell cmdlets to create the user. Okay, in the CSV file, specify the name and email addresses of the user. So see, you can see like second and fourth is almost similar, but over here they are asking only for the name and email addresses. So what about the initial password? Okay, so in this one additional thing is specify the name, email address of the user. and over here it is about the initial password. So majorly both options sounds correct, but if we think logically, then the answer is this one. We should not mention the initial password over there, as if we see in the exhibit again. So let's check this exhibit part. So this have the user one. If we see this initial password, first of all this have the display name, and then username, and then username is this one, and user principal name, this is the user principal name, and initial password. So over here in this case we will not use the password over here, because this will not create a guest user according to me. And first of all, as we see again back to this one, CSV files specify the names and email addresses of the users, and in this one initial password is also mentioned. So CMD let sends an invitation, okay, to the user. So let's see the explanation for this part and check out what can be the perfect one. So yeah, this is the perfect one. So you should perform the task by creating, okay, that we know. You in the CSV file you only need to specify the name and email addresses of the users. See, the two user, this will be the user 10, user 11, they are the guest user, and we don't want that on microsoft.com one, okay, domain. So that is why this is the most logically sounds the perfect option. So you can read this description for others option as well, okay. All right, then moving to the next question. You have a hybrid network configuration. Most user accounts are in Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, and the on-premises domain. Some user accounts are Azure AD accounts only. See, some user accounts are only Azure AD accounts, and your company plans to deploy Azure AD self-service password reset, that is SSPR. So actually I am also currently facing the issue on this. So I have the one organization email ID which I am using, but they don't have enabled that SSPR. Due to that I cannot reset my own password. So that is also the one problem. So if they enable this, then after that a user can request for the resetting of the password, okay. So you need to ensure that SSPR meets your company's password reset requirement. For each of the following statements, select yes. Okay, let's see what is the statement mentioned over here. So SSR is supported for all users including cloud only users. So yes, this is perfectly fine. You can configure SSPR registration for all domain users by group or individual users. So no, you cannot do that. Supported authentication method include mobile phone, text messages, and voice calls. So yes, this is also a correct one, as we want to use as an authentication method. So let's see the answer for this. So yeah, this is the correct answer, okay, and this is the description if you want to read the explanation. So you can configure SSPR registration by group or for all the domain users. You cannot configure SSPR registration by the user, okay. All right, then we can move to the next question then. Okay, so your company has a Microsoft 365 Business Standard license. You configure Azure Active Directory self-service password reset. Okay, you want to configure a hybrid environment with your on-prem Active Directory domain service network and enable write back to on-prem network. You need to ensure that prerequisites are met for following write back. So let's see the statement. They are asking which one is true and which one is false. You should upgrade your license to Azure AD Premium P1. So if we read the question, so you want to configure a hybrid environment. See, this is the targeted keyword over here, with your on-prem Active Directory domain services. So like Microsoft 365 Business, if I say standard one, so standard will not support the write back, as in the question it is mentioned the Microsoft 365 Business Standard license. So yes, we need to upgrade that to the Premium P1. You should install and configure Azure AD Connect. So yes, you have to probably do installation and configuration of Azure AD Connect. So this is your basic requirement to write back to your on-prem Azure domain services ADDS. Okay. And what is the next statement? You should enable and configure multi-factor authentication MFA. So that is not required. The question is not asking anything about the authentication multi-factor, like something like that. We just want to write back, and this is the hybrid one, hybrid environment with our on-prem ADDS. Okay. So let's see the description for this. So yeah, answer is correct, and this is the description. For the last one, you can see you are not required to enable configure MFA. MFA is recommended in situations where additional security is required, but it's not support. It is not a prerequisite for supporting write back, as I said. Okay, so moving to the next question. So your administrator and Azure environment, so you administer an Azure environment at company 1. You have been asked to restrict access for the administrator admin 1 to a portion of Azure Active Directory. You create the administrative unit admin unit 1 and configure it as shown in the exhibit. So let's see that. Okay, so over here for the company one, we have created admin unit 1, and as we can see the assignments over here. So user administrator over here, principal type is user, and scope. Okay, so membership is direct. Okay, so this is about the admin 1. So what question is saying then? The configuration of security group, group 1 is shown in the security group exhibit, correct? You need to identify the Azure AD object that can be administered by admin 1. So group 1 only, user 1, user 2, and group 1 only, user 1 and user 2 only. So user 1, user 2 and user 3 only. So if you see, if it is about the security group 1, so it should be mentioned in the option security group also. As we can see, this is the first option. So why this is not the correct, I will explain you that also. User 1, user 2 and group 1 only. So yes, this is the perfect answer. And last two option if we see, so that are specifically related to the user only, and we want to configure the security group. So over here the second is the logically sounding perfect, and let's see the answer for this. So yeah, this is the correct one. So admin 1 can administer user 1, 2 and group 1 only with Azure administrative units. You can restrict access to any portion of AD. In this way, it is possible to restrict admin 1 administrative access to user and group objects that admin 1 is responsible for. All right, administrative units can only contain users and groups. That is right. And in the option, if we see, then third and fourth option directly gets eliminated over here. So you can read the other explanation as well over here by pausing the video and read this. And if you are watching till here, then I would request you to please like the video if you haven't did yet, because it took too many efforts to create a content for you, take out the time and deliver the quality content for you guys. So I hope this will help for your exam also, and if you are willing to give this exam, then I wish you all the very best for this. Okay, all right, now to the next question. An international organization has an existing Azure AD tenant that gives its users access to cloud hosted applications and synchronizes with your on-prem Azure Active Directory tenant. User in the London office have hybrid user objects, and they have been assigned the Azure AD P1 license. Okay, so they have been assigned with the P1 license. A report from the support team shows that a large number of tickets have been raised concerning users asking for their passwords to be changed. The organization decides to enable self-service password reset SSPR in order to reduce the number of support tickets. You enable SSPR via the Azure portal and assign it to the all users security group. However, tickets are still being raised by user in the London office. You need to find out what is causing SSPR to not work for user in the London office. What is the root cause of the issue? So if we see the options, so SSPR does not support hybrid users. So that is not the case, first of all. The user group does not include hybrid users. So again, this is not specifically related to questions that whether it includes or it should not include. So the London users do not have the correct license. So as we can see, the license has been assigned to Azure P1 license, and if you have the P1 license, then it is the correct license. So we remain with the last option. So password write back is not enabled. So yes, this is the correct option. So let's see the description for this. So yeah, this is the correct one. So password write back is not enabled. You need to enable password write back to allow hybrid users to utilize SSPR. The identity objects of the London users are hosted on an on-prem AD which synchronizes with Azure Active Directory. When a London user changes their password, it will update in the Active Directory. By default, Azure AD Connect synchronizes passwords in one direction only. So Azure AD to on-premises Active Directory, you need to enable and configure password write back to allow users to update their password in on-prem environment. Okay. Great. Then next question. You are the owner of your organization Microsoft Azure subscription. You hire a new administrator to help. See, you are the owner. You hiring a new administrator to help you manage a virtual network that contains 9 Windows VMs. The deployment is contained in a resource group named prod resource group. Okay, you need to provide the administrator with the least privilege access to prod RG resource group only. The administrator should be allowed to manage all aspects of the Azure VMs. Your solution should minimize management effort. So it is about to minimize the management effort. So what we can do is assign the allowed VM SKUs Azure policies at the resource group scope. So no, this is let's see the other options first. Assign the administrator to the VM operator. As we are talking about the least privilege, so we cannot assign the admin to VM operator role at the virtual machine scope. Assign a custom Azure policy at the management group scope. So let's keep this aside. So first and second is eliminated. As we can see, this doesn't meet the goal. So let's see the last one, that is assign the administrator to the contributor role as at the resource group scope. So yes, this sounds the perfect, and let's see the answer also for this. Yeah, so this is the correct one, and we can see like the contributor role-based access RBAC provides the new administrator with full read-write privileges at that scope. So inheritance ensures that the permissions cascade to the VMs within the prod RG resource group, and management overhead is therefore minimized. Okay. All right, then we can move to the next question. Okay, your company has hired a new cloud engineer. As global administrator, you need to delegate some privileges to the new engineer. You decide to create a custom role using the following PowerShell command. So this is the command, new AZ role definition and input file. So this is the JSON file. Okay, the content of the customer one JSON file is shown in exhibit if you want to see. Let's see that. So we have the name, ID is null over. So as we can see, the ID is null. We have the is custom true, description, actions, data actions, not data actions, assignable scope. So we have assignable scope also, data actions also. So let's see what question is saying. So the content of customer one JSON file. Okay, for each of the, let's see the statement, what the statement is available, whether it is yes or no. The user has full management privileges on blob services. So if we see about this, so name is company CS custom role. So user has the full managed privileges first of all. So when we create a custom role like this and it is provided as true, so you can configure the privileges, so management and data privileges. So I will mark this as yes. Okay, and the user can read the content of a blob in the storage account. So can user read the content? Okay, so ID is null over here. So user will not be able to read the content because management and data access rights are separate, like differently, separately. So we have to then grant privileges accordingly to allow user to read the content. So over here it is not mentioned, so we will mark that as no. The user can create shared access signature keys. So yes, user can create the shared access signature keys. So we have set this privileges in the data action, as we see in the I can show you again in the exhibit. So if we see the data action, so yeah, so blob services generate user delegation key action. So yes, we can do this. This role will be applied to the subscription level. So will this role can apply to the subscription? So according to me the answer is no, because this role will apply to the not at a subscription level, custom level. So custom role can be applied what we can say assignable scopes. If we see like in the exhibit part, so assignable scopes subscription, this is mentioned as LOB RG resource group. So as only scope in which we can apply this custom role. Okay, so this will be the role will be applied to the subscription part. So I will mark this as no. The user can create new storage account. So no, again the user will not be able to create the new storage account, as we have only applied to LOB RG resource group. Okay, so yes, let's see the description for this, and yeah, check the answers as well. So okay, we have marked the user can read the content of a blob in a storage account. So yes, this was no. So and we are correct. You can pause and read the description for all the options. So user cannot create a new storage account, as I said. So the administrative rights have been applied to the blob service node, not to the storage account parent node. If you need to grant privileges for creating new storage account in the blob RG resource group, you need to use the value Microsoft.storage storage accounts. Okay. Yes. Now to the next question. Your company has several Azure subscriptions assigned to different departments. You configure a root management group for the organization and it. You configure a management group for each department. So basically we are configuring a management group for each department to group the subscription that pertain to that department. The organization management group contains all these other department groups. Your company hires 2 new cloud engineers. You need to delegate some restricted privileges to these new cloud engineers. You decide to create a custom role to delegate the correct permissions to the new engineers. You need to apply this new role at the correct level. You need to ensure that you apply this new role with the least administrative effort. So as we are saying, with the least administrative effort, so we need to check which role we can apply to whom. So can we apply to the owner role to that cloud engineers? So at the owner role at the organization management group level, so no, we cannot do that. Apply custom role in each resource in each subscription. So apply the custom role for each resources. Well, this is not about the all resources. So apply the custom role in each subscription. So yes, we can do apply that in each subscription. Apply the custom role in each resource group in each subscription. No, so that is also not the correct, as we are talking about the 2 cloud engineers. So we can apply a custom role in each subscription. Okay, and that is not too specific for any resource. So you can read the description over here. You should not apply owner role at the organization management group level. A management group is a way to efficiently manage policies, access and compliance when your company has several subscriptions. Although you can apply the owner role at the management group level. See, you can apply the owner role at the management group level. It provides assignees with full access to resources down the hierarchy. That is, the privileges are not restricted. Okay. Alright, then moving to the next question. You have a storage accounts in your Azure subscription. Let's check the exhibit. So unable to list resources in account due to inadequate permissions. Permissions to list containers or to list account keys is required. Contact your subscription administrator to resolve this issue. Okay, got it. So some users access their storage accounts by using Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer desktop application. They are reporting that they get error message, as we seen that in exhibit. So we need to resolve this. So what we will do, so users your users have the storage block data contributor role assigned in the storage account. So first of all, that is not required, as we have seen that exhibit, so that is not allowing them to access the data or read the data. So your users have the storage block data reader role assigned in the storage accounts. Let's see, keep this as a like we can check out the other options first before deciding. This is a cannot delete resource lock configured, so nothing is mentioned like that. There is a read only resource lock configured. Even if it is read only, then it should not throw the error, as we are not editing or performing any write operations over there. Your users have the read role assigned in the storage account, so yes, we need to assign them a read role. So as we see this error, unable to list resources, so these are just not listing the resources. For that we need to get the read role assigned to our account. Okay, yeah, so this is the perfect one, as you can see. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the perfect one, as we need to select the two possible reasons over here. So there is a read only resource lock configured, so let's check the description for that part. Your users are getting the error shown in the exhibit. Okay, read only resource lock configured, or okay, so there is a chance. Okay, there is a read only resource lock configured, so using that also, that can be the possible. Yeah, correct. So yeah, these two are the correct option in that case. Okay, then to the next question. You are the global administrator for the following Azure subscription in your company. Okay, the company has a new network engineer. You need to grant this network engineer the required privileges to manage network related resources in each subscription. You decide to create a custom role definition using a JSON template. You need to set the assignable scopes property. You need to ensure that your solution requires the least administrative effort. So what we will use in this case? Let's see the options. So we need to check this carefully. So what are the options available? So if we see this first one, that is just only the slash part, so we cannot use that. So actually we can assign custom role to any subscription by using this. So this will not the correct option over here. So I think like these two options, so subscriptions, and if we see like in this pattern, then using this value we can use custom role in any resource. If we see this in this pattern specific, so because it's 111 and it is 4 time. Okay, so because we need to grant the network resources only, so we need to create the custom role with the rights, specific rights to allow to the network resources. So this contains the resource group and network. So resource group, we should not use this, so because the general structure doesn't allow that to mention that resource group and network. So let me show you the description in that, maybe it is mentioned somewhere. Yeah, so this is the correct one. Yeah, so we should not use this the third option, which you can, sorry, yeah, third option. So why? So as you can see in the general structure, the network value corresponds to the name of the resource group, not the networking provider. So over here it is the provider, like resource groups and network, it is mentioned. So this is the structure, subscription ID and resource group name and resource provider namespace, resource type and resource name. Okay, so this is the perfect one, the second option. Okay, you can read the other part as well by pausing this video. So go and explore the Azure portal first of all, if you haven't did yet. So there is a free trial also. If you want, I will create a video for that also. Okay, so you can explore that part also. So we will explore the different services which are available, and we can create a demo instance over there, demo VMs, right? Let's see the next one. You are an administrator for your Azure subscription. Okay, your company hires a new cloud engineer. The cloud engineer needs to be able to manage other engineers' access to Azure resources. You need to follow the principle of least privileges again. So question says cloud engineer need to be able to manage other engineers access. Okay, so like it should be able to manage the accessibility for the other engineer. So this is a role of account admin, right? So let's see user access admin. So yeah, this is available. So this is about the accessibility, so we will select the user access admin, not a user administrator. And so this is nothing about owner. I just want the new cloud engineer to that should, like, that particular engineer should be able to manage the accessibility for the other engineer. So I cannot provide him the owner can manage everything, okay, about the policies or everything about the owner role which that contains, so which can grant him the full access. So this is the wrong one, and let's see. Yeah, so the user access administrator, you should not grant the contributor role as well, because member to create and manage all types of resources, but it does not allow them to manage other users. Okay. Okay, then now to the next question. Okay, all right. Next question. Oh, sorry, by mistakenly I clicked twice. Your Azure subscription has multiple resource groups that host project level resources. All team members that use the subscription have contributor access at the subscription level and are allowed to manage resource for all projects. The company one network RJ resource group contains all the network resources like virtual networks, VNets, network security groups, DNS zones, and route tables. As the need arises, network administrators will add new DNS entries and routes and create additional subnets and NSGs. You need to ensure that no team members, including the network administrator, delete any resource hosted in the company one network RG resource group. Okay, so we need to ensure that no team member should be able to delete any resource hosted in company one network resource group. Okay, so what we will do, what we must implement a solution that requires minimum ongoing administrative efforts. So again, as we want to as it says, it requires a minimal ongoing administrator, so we won't be able to create any custom role for that, and we can simply apply if some direct options or restrictions is available. So apply a read-only lock to the company one network. So this is not about the only read-only. The question says it should not only delete, right? So I can apply a cannot delete lock to the company one resource network resource group. So you see, like, the questions most sometimes sounds logically perfect, so you can just eliminate the other options by checking the problem statement and target keyword. Okay, so let's see this one. So this is the perfect one. So guys, I think we had solved the 25 number of questions, and we are going to solve the other number of questions as well, but not to in the same video. Yes, I am going to publish that, I mean upload that other parts as well. So stay tuned and stay connected by pressing the subscribe button. Okay, so please press the subscribe button. It will not cost you a single penny, but also will give you a bumper of knowledge, as I will share you the number of questions which will be helpful for you to cover up in your exams, and definitely it will boost your confidence. As you can see, the questions which we have solved are mostly a kind of a case study type questions, in which you can get up when you try the Azure portal. At that time, when you deal with the real VMs, when you deal with the assignments of roles, as we see, like read only, cannot delete, all that part and stuffs. So these are the real case study problems, so you it is based on that only. So this will help you a lot. So you can comment below if you want anything else or you expect something else, so that will be appreciated and I will follow that as well. So that's it for today. The 25 questions is enough, and I will bring more for you in the next part as well. So let's see you in the next video. Till that time, take care, thank you, and bye bye.